Welcome to the Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conrad, and this show is where we hear the real stories from real people changing the world. From everyday people to the top celebrities, all the conversations are real, raw, and always unscripted. Thank you for joining me today. Now let's get to today's guest. All right, everybody, welcome to Unscripted One-on-One from my basement, soon-to-be studios at the Junction in Old Hilliard, and we're really excited about that. But tonight, I'm even more excited about a local guest with a local business. And Joel, I'm just going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we will roll from there.
Nice. I'm Joel Armbruster. I'm actually the CEO and co-owner of Phoenix Bat Company here in Columbus, Ohio. We make wood baseball bats from all the way to little leagues to the professional level, major league players for the past 20 plus years. And, you know, some new things we're getting into. I'm sure we'll discuss that as we move along here tonight.
Very cool. It's very cool. It's so cool to have a local company have such a huge impact. So I'm really excited to get into the Phoenix story. But let's start with your story first. Where did everything start? Like what brought you to Columbus and Phoenix and all that stuff? Let's start with your story, and then let's tell the Phoenix story next.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you know, my story is not a whole lot different than what brought me to Columbus than probably 90% of the population here in the county. I went to Ohio State.
There you go.
After high school, I actually had an opportunity or a couple opportunities to play at some smaller colleges, some baseball. But my wife, current wife, you know, now, and I were dating since I was a freshman in high school, and she went to Ohio State for nursing, and I obviously followed her down here. And of all things, I actually went to college, got my degree for education.
Wow.
My whole goal was to be a teacher, which, you know, I've utilized those tools over the years. But my second year of college, I met the founder of Phoenix Bats, totally random. I don't even remember exactly how we met, and he and I just hit it off. And he talked to me about this baseball bat company that he had behind his house. And I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And he invited me over and said, "Hey, if you're ever looking for a part-time job," and he didn't even finish the sentence. And I said, "Yes." And I started working for him one day a week in college. And the next week it was 2 days a week. And probably by about week 5, I was there every day because it wasn't just a job. It was a passion. Baseball's been in my blood since I was 5 years old. I just, for whatever reason, spring comes around, you smell that grass, you just go out there. It's something different for me about being on a baseball field. Yeah. So that's how the long story short, how I got into Phoenix. And that was 20 years ago now.
Okay. Now, when did so we'll go transition right into, because that this is the only company you've ever worked for. Is that right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I had part-time jobs in college and high school as well. But no, this is like the first and only real, I guess you can say, real job that you knew that you were going to stick with that I've had. And, you know, some people who have come and gone, or even family, are like, "You're just crazy." And I'm like, you know, maybe I just have an idea, and maybe I'm incredibly loyal, and I know it's going to happen someday.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, the stick-to-itiveness of that is that a word? I think that's a word. Stick-to-itiveness.
It is now.
The way you stuck with it.
It's on the internet. It's a word.
I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet. No, the way you stuck with it is honorable, honestly, because I got to imagine. So let's go right into the Phoenix story. So from behind a garage, it sounds like, to where you are today. And is it Plain City? Is that the actual location?
Yeah. So our location is in Plain City. We are literally a mile away from Dublin, right, and about 6 miles away from Plain City. It's just how they annexed it. Very close to the Sports Ohio. There's a lot of new development up there. Muirfield Golf Course is probably only a couple miles away from us as well. So Charlie started the company in 1996, kind of as a hobby. And like a lot of hobbies, word of mouth, you get good friends and friends of friends, the greatest pyramid scheme ever, that people hear it and they, you know, want to be a part of it. They start buying. And soon his hobby became a job that he wasn't anticipating. And that's where I got to come in on that. And when I was getting ready to graduate college, he and I sat down and he said, "You know, what do you think about trying to do something with this?" And I said, "I have that piece of paper. I mean, it's hanging back here on my wall. I'm like, I can use that any point in time I want. I don't see another opportunity like this coming again tomorrow." So soon as I graduated college, we, kind of really worked tightly together. And 2004, we brought in our first investors, and that's when we moved up to our current location in Plain City, which I think was one of the first buildings built on that road at the time. And now our building's kind of hidden with all the development. So we were pretty lucky to get in when we got there. And between our first investors, bringing on other people and hiring staff as we moved along, Charlie moved on from the business about 6-7 years ago. He actually went back to what he was doing before baseball bats.
Wow.
His main focus is a home remodeler, and that's his true passion. I mean, as much as he loves baseball, he was always called back to go to that. So he, revamped the business for him to do that. And obviously I, was still around, and we've had other people come in, and roughly, I would say 3-4 years ago, I actually took over the entire company myself.
Wow.
It was, I'm sure it was kind of planned all along that people were all like, oh yeah, Joel's going to be that guy, one day. And it worked out, the timing. I would say if it happened 5 years ago, I wasn't quite there yet. Just a lot of aspects, just, understanding the ins and outs of the entire business. And definitely was there when I took over, and definitely there now, because more and more every day there's white hair just popping up here. So it's, it's not the easiest thing to run a business, but it's incredibly rewarding, and I probably would never change anything.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, did anybody have a business degree or business background before you launched into this? Because you said yours is an education. Did anybody have any business? And I don't mean this in any disrespectful way at all. Did anybody have any business sense or business background launching this business, or did you learn as you went?
No, Charlie actually has a master's degree in business.
So
he knew all what he was doing, as far as launching a business. The guy who took over for Charlie, and he's still one of our main owners. We work very closely with him, Seth. He has an MBA from Ohio State as well. A lot of our investors, over the years have had business degrees. I'm kind of the outlier, but I'm also the guy that actually knows absolutely everything as far as the company and the business.
Right.
And if, just from, being involved. So sometimes it's not even the degree, it's, the life, what's the word, Aaron, help me out. Like the life practices,
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Events that you just go through, you learn as you go. And, I've studied up on all the business that I, can and need to every day. I love to learn.
Yeah.
But I would never go back to school to study business, because I would never understand, how it truly operates, in all honesty. Until you're thrown in the fire, it's a completely different beast.
For sure. And I always said, in my career in business, I always think of Survivor, and now you always want to have that guy that knows how to hunt or fish, and as long as you know how to hunt or fish, you got value to the tribe, and it sounds like, I mean, your longevity there and how you've seen this business grow, I'm pretty sure you can hunt and fish for the tribe as long as you need to.
Yeah. We've always joked we should make a reality show at work. I mean, first of all, we're all just goofy and we just do the dumbest things at times. But if any given day you see me, I know what my title is. That never defines me. I never really liked it, but I understand the title.
Yeah.
You'll see me being the trash guy. I could be cleaning the bathroom, or I could be doing the big type stuff where, like, today was definitely the CEO today, doing a lot of business and background stuff. And, tomorrow I could be the salesman. It's fun for me, and it's rewarding because every day something new, something different and challenging. And, I also had to become an engineer because our big old CNC lathe that's, we spent several $100,000 on, didn't really have an engineer to work on it. And, when things broke, I had to teach myself. And so when I talk about the ins and outs of the business, I mean, it's so crazy how nitty gritty I can be. I know exactly where everything needs to be, how it operates. And, there's just certain things where you hear a machine running and you're like, that doesn't sound right. And you go out there and take care of it. And I've had people pop in and they're like, oh, we're here to see Joel. And I'll come out from the shop covered in sawdust. I just was greasing something because we got to, keep stuff going. And they're like, could you find Joel? I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I'm not a suit and tie guy. I'm a hands-on guy. And
Yeah.
I think it's done really well for us. But it's also who I am. It's just not something I intend to change.
Yeah. Well, I think it brings something new every single day. It's not always just sitting around typing in a computer. And honestly, having worked at a Fortune 500 company and a variety of other companies, I know that when you start a business, really you're trying to build a business from nothing. You got to do that. You got to be the guy to sometimes go and clean the bathroom, or
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
I think a lot of kids are going to graduate and they're going to go into a job and they're going to sit in a cubicle, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But they don't have an understanding like you and I do of building a business from the ground up and what that requires. Because I think, and then there's people I think that join companies like that assume that that's what they're going to do, just sit in this office and everybody else will do stuff. Well, no, there's times where you gotta pick up, you gotta grab a mop, you gotta grab a wet floor sign, you gotta take out the trash, that's what it requires. But if you believe enough in the business that you're building, it's worth it. And the check doesn't even always have to equal what that passion that you have for that thing is, because there's a bigger vision and you just want other people to see it too. I have to believe that that's like for you guys too.
100%. I mean, my vision, I mean, it's always looking forward. My favorite thing I love to tell my staff, and I don't even like to use that word because they're all coworkers, but there's nothing I would ever ask them to do that I wouldn't do, have done, or am doing. So,
right.
I mean, that's the whole cliche, the difference between a boss and a leader. I can sit on a second story office and, keep cracking outside and say, hey, where's this? What's this? Or we can make things happen. That's the best part of it. And I just love going into work every day. And that's
awesome.
That's the craziest part about it. I get paid, but I just love going in. And which is also, we were talking right before we went on air, because you asked if I was still in my office. And I'm like, no, that's my home office.
Right.
I didn't last very long last year, when they shut everything down due to COVID. I worked from home for a week, and about day 3, I was literally just pacing ahead. I like my environment. I have to be in my environment. So even though at that time we weren't open to the public, I was going in. I'm like, I have to be here. I cannot stay home. And it's just a different atmosphere. When I'm into it, it changed everything, at that time. So I had a pretty rough week that week.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I think a lot of people did, and some people still haven't recovered. I think when it's in your blood, when it's all it's hard. You wake up one day and you're like, I don't know what to do with myself right now, because this is all I've ever done. I lived, breathed, gave everything I had for this, and now it's not there, and I don't know what to do with myself. You need those other, whatever it might be. Some people probably go to things that aren't good for them, but hey, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it in a company that you love and invest in and have spent so much time for. So that's, I mean, I really appreciate that. There's some similarities to my career as well. So I can appreciate that. And I have a feeling people listening will probably as well. Just given everything you have, it really becomes who you are. And whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. It's just all I've ever known,
Yeah. I mean, I know in my heart, and I know from people that I will take criticism from, because I mean, I don't take criticism from anybody I wouldn't take advice from. So the people I listen to, heart to heart, if I was doing something wrong, they'd tell me in a heartbeat. So I wear the company on my sleeve. It's literally, I don't want it to be the definition of my life, but it's who I am right now, and I'm going to utilize my talents, my strengths to build the company, and at the same time I'm going to use everything that I can with that platform to help something else as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Say that one more time again. That was, you wouldn't take criticism. Say it again.
I don't take criticism from anybody I would never take advice from.
That's really good.
I don't have any idea where I heard that from. I'd love to give credit, but I heard that one day. It's stuck with me since then, because I mean, you understand, you get thrown into a high position, say leadership position, CEO, whatever you want to call it. You got darts coming at you all angles. And I mean, I'll tell you, my first several months, I'm like, wow, it is lonely on top. I mean, it's just one of the loneliest places you'll ever be. And, unless it's somebody, that's been there and, understands it, it's hard for anybody else to relate, because everybody wants to get to the top.
Right.
Everybody wants to be to the top till you're there. But when I heard that saying, never take criticism from somebody you wouldn't take advice from, it just stuck with me from that point on. So it really changed a lot of my mindset and how I, viewed a lot of things, especially not only within the company, but personally as well.
Well, as they say on the internet, I'm stealing that. That was really good.
I stole it. So, I mean, if the person who said it is listening, I'm sorry, I give you full credit.
There you go. It's fine. I'm not sure that many people listen, so it's fine. Nobody. No,
we'll get there. We'll get there
someday. No, I gotta say one more thing too. Is what I appreciate too, is you said about your coworkers and the fact that I do believe that our coworkers, when we do grab that mop, or we grew and not so they can see it, we do it because it's what needed to be done. I think our coworkers appreciate the fact that we're willing to do that, because that's leadership. That's
100%.
Your team then respects you, not because of something you said or some PowerPoint you gave or whatever it might be. They respect you because you're willing to do what you would ask them to do.
Yep, 100%. And honestly, some of my favorite moments in it is almost self-serving, but the times they don't see what you're doing, and they'll come in and be like, who did, we'll stick with this. Who cleaned the bathroom? Yeah. And like, hey, I was here at 6 this morning. I was like, needs done, free it up. Everybody else can do, what they need to do today. Those little things. I mean, not only in business, at home, any relationship, it
absolutely
truly makes a big difference.
It does. It means all the world. And not everyone believes that, but I do. And I love that I hear that from you as well, because, I just appreciate that. That's my belief, is that's what leadership requires sometimes, not just being in the highest office with the biggest title, for sure. Right. So, okay. So Phoenix Bats, wood shop behind the garage. Where did we go for? First of all, how did that start? Was it like the natural, where a tree fell one day and he just decided to carve a bat, or like where did this all start, and how does it just take off?
That'd be a really cool story.
They should make a movie out of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down right now.
I think it's already out. It's called The Natural.
Have you ever seen or heard of vintage baseball, where guys play the 1860s era baseball?
And they wear the uniforms and everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's several teams in town. The big one here that's kind of out of the Ohio History Center. They've changed their name. I think it's Ohio Historical Center, something like that.
Right.
Is the Ohio Village Muffins. And they're named the Muffins because back in the day, in the 1860s, an error was called a muff. So they named their team the Muffins. Sometimes, and I've played for them for many years. Sometimes we live up to our name. That's I will awesome. Fully admit that. But Charlie was playing for them at the time, and they were getting bats from like Cooperstown, just about any bats that they could find. And teammates just kept breaking the bats, and they knew Charlie had a lathe because his main focus, when he was restoring houses the first time, he was really restoring them in German Village, where the spindles on the staircases were so unique. He had a lathe, he would hand turn them. Wow. And they knew that he had a lathe. So they said, hey, could you make a bat? And he goes, I have a lathe, let's try it. So he made a bat. And ironically, I don't want to get too distracted. We tracked down the customer, who happens to be a friend. I never knew this for years. He purchased the first bat from Charlie. And I actually was able to, 2 years ago, work a deal with him. I'm sure I twisted his arm a little bit, but I did give him some good stuff from Phoenix. I got the original bats back.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
So it's in my office at work, sitting, above my desk, and I want to get it displayed, in our lobby showroom area one day soon. But it looks like a bat from the 1860s, even though it was 1996. It's kind of funny. But he started making the vintage bats, made a website as, more and more people started buying the bats and, wanting to, get their hands on them, because it was really hard to find good bats at that time. Made a website, probably a GeoCities, Yahoo thing back. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how old the audience is, but they're Googling GeoCities right now. Absolutely, what is GeoCities? Right. But, put the bats out there. And then he was contacted by a major league player, said, hey, I can't find good bats. The guy, the companies I'm working with are sending me crap. Can you help me out? Yeah. So, Charlie was like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of amazing. A major league player found my site and wants to, get bats. So sent him some bats. And then it wasn't too long after that, he got a call from Major League Baseball telling him that he wasn't allowed to do that.
Oh,
and
you're kidding.
you have to go through an approval process, which, between you and me and, whoever else is listening, the approval process used to be just paying Major League Baseball a lot of money.
Wow.
You'd pay them upwards of $25,000 a year just to have the privilege to sell bats, is what it comes down to.
Goodness.
Now, yeah, it's gotten a lot better over the last 10 to 12 years. The fees are a little bit lower, but the fees also go to a variety of things, and there's more testing involved. There's a lot more strict rules, which, we were big advocates for, because we were trying to make the best bat out there, always buying the highest quality wood. We don't ever want to sacrifice, the actual core of our product.
Right.
Which is also why, you ever make it back up to the shop, Aaron, our wood is stored in a temperature and humidity controlled environment. We want to make sure that that's all taken care of, almost like a big old humidor for cigars.
I was gonna say, yeah, like cigar. Wow, unbelievable.
Except it's about 20 feet high, stacked full of 3 foot long and 2 3/4 inch thick cigars is what it comes down to.
Nobody's smoking that.
No. But I mean, we try to take care and only get the best. So we'll sacrifice margins as a business just to make sure that everybody has the best quality bat that they can. Because, I mean, I don't care if you are the biggest name major league player out there, or, you're a 5-year-old little leaguer just starting. There's something about just getting a bat with your name on it, having it in your hands. It means something. We're contacted all the time by parents saying, how do you get my kid to stop sleeping with a bat?
Really?
And, yeah, all the kids will sleep with it. They love it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can give you parenting advice, but you don't want it. So I'm like, you got to figure that out.
It's a bigger issue.
Right. And so, he was contacted by Major League Baseball, started going through the process of that. So we've been, pro approved since 2000. And it's just, it's been a slow growth, very meticulous. And I would say it's very purposeful, because I've seen a lot of baseball bat companies come and go in my 20 years. They become a hot company, and they'll start pouring their money into all the wrong things. And within a year and a half, they'll be bankrupt. They're gone. Wow. Because they thought that they were just going to be, so big because, oh, this guy's swinging my bat, and, we're going to capitalize on that. And like, well, what happens if that guy gets injured? He fails a drug test, what are you going to do at that point? We've been it's very thought out and meticulous. I mean, we could have gone that route, really tried to blow it up, and could have been in the same boat within a year and a half, 2 years of not being around anymore.
Right.
So we've actually, and I've got NDAs that I've signed, but we make bats for other companies is what it comes down to as well, because we're that well established. We know what we're doing. We have the equipment. So there's several companies out there that don't even make their own bats. They just have their name on the bats. Yeah. So I love doing it that way, because, I've, just again, over the years, all the companies that have come and gone, and even some that have stuck around now, they've been sold, gone bankrupt multiple times, and people are just trying to revive them. And Phoenix Bats is always still here and rising above, is what I like to say. So.
Right. So where did the name come from?
Oh, that's a great thing. That should be always top of the line, when we talk about Phoenix, but because I get calls all the time saying, hey, we're in the area. Where are you guys located? And we always say, where are you? And they say, well, I'm in Scottsdale. I'm like, okay, well, hop over to the Sky Harbor Airport, get a flight to Columbus, hop around 270, and we'll talk. So,
that's right.
It happens all the time. But the name actually generated from the vintage bat line. So Charlie was making replica bats that were 100+ years old. And the Greek mythology is the phoenix rises from the ashes every 100 years. And he was making bats initially out of ash, 100-year-old replica bats. So he called it Phoenix Bats. And I would say it was sometime shortly after I, graduated college and was, officially that guy, knowing that I was the right-hand man, we were going to do this. We really did a big market research trying to figure out what we could change the name to, just to clear up any confusion. And by then we had such an established name. We found out in the baseball market, if we changed it to, you can call it Buckeye Bats, Ohio Bats, something, anything that kind of, says we're here in Columbus, Ohio, it was going to hurt us major. We just had that much of a groundhold with the name, and people knew us. And you've dealt with many professional athletes. If you change one little thing, I could be the same guy at spring training, and the next year I can come in and I'm like, now we're Columbus Bats. Yeah. And they'll just be like, nope, not touching you. Yeah. I'm like, but it's the same thing. So pro athletes are very picky about that. And, I'll say pro athletes, but we, have people, amateur youth that are just so picky that they're like, I need that exact color that I got last time. Yeah. And I'm like, hey man, if it helps you at the plate, that's fine. But I was always the guy who just go grab a broomstick. I didn't care what was on it. So I'm like, just, I can swing and hit it or swing and miss, regardless of what's in my hand.
Yeah. Not the best marketing ploy for
No. That's why I don't get to say that often. So
again, there's only like 2 people listening, so it's fine. So
hi, Mom.
That's right. Thank you. All right. No, and the other one's my wife. So hey, honey, thanks for letting me do this. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I was going to ask you. Of all the sports I can think of, I think baseball might be the most superstitious. So you don't step on the line, for a lot of guys. Now some guys don't care. They step right on the chalk and run to their position, but they got their gamers, right? They're gaming bats. So have you had a guy call you and say, man, you just said it, like, my gamer just broke. I need the exact same thing. Have you ever had that call?
Oh, every day. I mean, right? I'm sure I just hung up that call as well. They're so meticulous in what they want. Superstitious is the common theme around the office. Our lathe is one of the most precise lathes in the industry. It cuts it to 1/10 of a millimeter in accuracy. Wow. It's a computerized CNC lathe, and then we have a lot of hand stuff that go into it afterwards, and we make sure that every single bat, doesn't matter if it's I was going to say Manny Ramirez. I don't know why that name popped in my head. He hasn't played forever. I mean, we'll say Manny Ramirez. Hey, that's fine. It doesn't matter if it's a dozen bats for him or, if it's for my kid. We want to make sure it's the exact same thing every single time, because, I mean, it only takes that one person that you screw up and things go bad, especially in this day and age.
For sure.
Still at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to please everybody, but every baseball is, I have to say it's the most superstitious. I mean, I've played personally, every sport but hockey, and I love hockey. I've just never had the opportunity to play it. I've never met anybody in any sport walk of life that are more superstitious than baseball players.
Absolutely. That's got to be a crazy business to be in. So can you, and if you can't, we have a rule, you just say pass if you can't answer this question because it's unscripted. So can you name players that you have players that use your bats, or can you name that or no?
Because I can name anybody. The problem is, Aaron, I am very forgetful on that. So I'll name a couple just because I'm pretty close with them. We've made bats for a lot of people in the past, but like Adam Eaton, he's with the White Sox again now. Yeah. Jonathan VR, I think he signed it with the Mets. I'm still trying to catch up on all the off-season happenings, and I know it's almost the regular season, but Brad's my guy when it comes to the pro stuff. But probably my favorite guy is Ronnie Dawson with the Astros organization. Local guy, went to Grove City, played at Ohio State. I love it in the off season because he'll pop in frequently. We can sit, have lunch. And actually, I know one time he came in, he's like, I'm ready to work. And I said, good, go cut your bats. And we took him out there and we made him cut his own bats. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, he loved it. I was just sitting back, I'm taking pictures, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just proving that, you were cutting your own bats. That way, when you complain, it's on you, man. So
I was going to say, that's one way to get over the superstition is, hey, if you went 0 for 20, dude, you cut your bat. It's not my fault. Yeah. And the woods in a humidor over there, I can't help you.
Right. If I could do that with every player, every off season, that'd be phenomenal. But yeah, that's awesome. Ronnie, I think, has a really good shot of being on the big league roster at the Astros. very, still a young guy, early, maybe mid-20s at the latest. They all look like kids to me anymore. I can't believe I've come to that point in my life right now.
It's worse.
But yeah, I think he's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Excited for Ronnie, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's from here in the Columbus area and the Ohio State ties. Love that.
Yeah.
So
that's very cool. So so again, let's just say that this somehow found its way to a major league locker room or minor league locker room, whatever. Some guy's driving down the road and he's listening. How does that work? If a guy wants to try one of your bats, what does that process look like? If a baseball, do you just call you?
We have players that call us all the time. They'll hit us up on Instagram, Twitter. I don't think any players are really on Facebook. I think, good. I mean, good for them, but I think it's the more older crowd now, and I'm shameful there as well.
That's right.
But yeah, they'll hit us up that way. Their agents will sometimes they'll deal through the agents.
Right.
And then there's certain clubs when you get to AAA that they'll buy the bats for you. So then the team will call you.
Nice.
When it comes to the big leagues, the team will buy the bats for the players. They still have to stick within budget. And, a player can say, I want 200 bats. And the club is going to look at him and go, no, you get 2 dozen. So,
yeah.
But what's unique about that, you've been to many games.
Mm-hmm.
If the team buys the bats, they own the bats. So you'll go to the gift shop, you'll see a broken bat with the, a Mike Trout or something like that you could go get in the gift shop for, game used, $200, $300. They're making money on selling the game used broken bats because they don't buy them for that much. We've had players in the past like Robinson Cano who bought the bats himself because he said, these are mine. When they break, I'm doing something with them.
Yeah.
He'll give them to a kid in the stands, or he'll auction them off for his charity.
Right.
So it varies player to player. But as far as anybody new, they'll kind of contact us out of the blue, or a lot of times, Brad, Taylor, who is our pro sales rep and vice president, he will tell you the second baseman for AA of Minnesota, like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know Minnesota's AA team.
That's
and
right.
he's my encyclopedia when it comes to that. And he'll be like, this is a guy we want to go talk to. This is a guy we want to target. And we, especially here in town with the Clippers, we'll go down the Clippers every homestand that a new team comes in. So we'll get to talk to the players, and as well as spring training, all the travel that we get to do. And there's a variety of ways that we're able to do that. And, it's rewarding, it's fun. And, it's hard to explain to a lot of people that they're human beings.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're not,
guys.
Yeah, they're just guys. They're not gods.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to them, they're like, oh, you got to talk to so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, he's a cool guy. We had a Jimmy John's sandwich, pretty fun, nice guy.
That's
They're
right.
like, oh, what was he like? I'm like, I don't know, roast beef.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's right.
It's, they're just people. They're like,
dudes. Yep.
You and me. I'm like, just
Mm-hmm.
because, they can hit a ball further and get paid much more.
A lot more, right?
I mean, just what they do. So
yeah,
I've never been starstruck. I love talking to players, but I love talking to, the guy who brings his kid in and really kind of getting to know them and getting them on the right path. So
yeah, that's awesome. And I agree with you. I think I don't want to say it wears off. Like, I mean, just sitting down talking to you tonight, I've been telling everybody I know, man, I'm getting on with the CEO at Phoenix Bats tonight. I still get a little excited and starstruck. I do. I mean that genuinely, because I'm honored that anybody takes time out of their night to sit here and listen to talk to the two people that we got listening, your mom and my wife. So, but anyway, so you guys also do what I appreciate too, that you mentioned right before we jumped on. You guys do a lot of stuff for good. Not that bats aren't good. That's you use your company for good. I should have said that better. Unscripted. You use your company for good. Can you talk a little bit about some of those causes and things that you guys do when it relates to that?
Absolutely. Really close to my heart. I get really excited. I think I just got goosebumps because this is what I love talking about. I feel very purpose driven in my life. I've always felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of it has to do, with my faith and, just how I was raised, but I don't feel like I'm put on this earth for a purpose, and I really need to make a difference. And if it's a difference in one person, I'm good with that. I mean, that's been my get-go, from day one. But having the platform, I don't know what platform I have, but the platform that I do have, I've wanted to use it for good. And, so has, Charlie and Seth, who preceded me, that I've gotten to work with very closely. One of the things that, that we came up with several years ago, we called it our Beat Cancer Bat, where we partnered with Pelotonia, and we just took a trophy bat and we put big bold letters, Beat Cancer, on it, which I actually have one. I think it's there. No, I put it away, but it's not in arm's reach now, but big Beat Cancer, big and bold on the barrel, has a message on the back, just kind of talking about how this bat has purpose, kind of like your life, and, a little bit message about beating cancer. And what we do with that, we definitely marketed it because we want people to buy them, but the proceeds from that bat actually go to Pelotonia for cancer research.
Awesome.
We've worked, very closely with a guy named Eric at Pelotonia. Talk to him, regularly, once a week, chat on Facebook, send texts and all that. I ran for Man of the Year for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society 2 years ago. I lost my father to leukemia back in summer of 2018. So I ran for Man of the Year in 2019. And what I did with that is I tied everything I did with that to Phoenix, because I had to be talked into it, honestly, because I thought it was self-serving. But when I realized, like, everything we can do to get money in, even if it's through Phoenix, it's all going to go at that time to LLS to actually, what I called was my #EndCancer, because it just holds a special part in my life. I lost my father. I've lost other family members. Seth lost his mother-in-law to cancer as well, who he worked hand in hand with me to make the Beat Cancer Bats. My wife is actually a nurse at the James Cancer.
Wow.
So anything I can do, as far as that, to, everybody says, raise awareness. And I'm like, everybody's aware. I'm looking to end it. That's been my purpose for that. It's just one of those things, anything I can do to tie the company to something bigger and meaningful. I want to do that. And then, honestly, last year, another opportunity arose that I'd been talking with Barry Larkin, Baseball Hall of Famer, off and on for a couple years. Really wanted to do something with him with Phoenix. He and I have a mutual friend. In fact, the mutual friend's, one of my business partners as well. Just wanted to do something with Barry, just, whether we named a bat after him, just kind of get him to, play around and, just see what we could do together. And, last summer, there was a lot of social anxiety, I guess you can say, with, trying to find the right words, because I'm, we'll just say, like, race relations and everything. And had a really long conversation with Barry. I remember it being a Sunday night. I think he called me at like 10:30 at night. The guy works late. It's crazy. I remember talking to him at like 1 a.m. before. But we wanted to know what we could do together, trying to figure out how to make a difference. And what we came up with was called the Heal and Unite Initiative, where proceeds from anything we sell, as far as the Heal and Unite Initiative, actually go to inner city youth baseball to help promote sports and, just make a difference in the community. It was we're still doing it. And I know he's working hard in the background. We chatted last week. He was telling me some things that he's got going on, and we actually partnered with Wilson Sports on it as well. I've had the VP of Wilson Sports, call me and text me. We're competitors. I still think I'm a flea on his dogs behind at that point. But we're competitors, but we're working together to make a difference. And that's what I loved when I got to speak with Jim at Wilson Sports. It was amazing that we could look past, hey, we're in the same market, but we're going to make a difference. Because at the end of the day, whether it's raising money, to help end cancer, whether it's making a difference by raising money for inner city youth baseball, supplying some equipment, I can go to bed at night and sleep well, because, there's a million other things that we can try to make a difference in. And it's overwhelming, at times. And if anybody's listening that, wants to find something to do, I would say find something and focus on it. Because I was that person who would want to do everything. I want to make a big difference and fix it all. That's the type of person I am. I feel it. But when I really narrowed it down, it helped me get that focus down and know that I was making a big difference in somebody's life. And I can personally, have testify on this one. I know that the money that we raised for LLS, especially during my Man and the Woman of the Year campaign, did make a difference, because I had my wife told me that LLS came in and paid for somebody's cancer medication for an entire year because they couldn't afford it. And I kind of get choked up thinking about it, because I was like, man, we worked hard for 10 weeks. We tried to raise money. We were selling bats and, giving the money back. And I'm like, at the end of the day, what did we, what happened? And
where'd it go?
It was, it was one of those self-doubt times. And she came to me, she's like, you won't believe what happened today. And I was like, wow, I'm like, huge difference. So I may never see the impact of anything that I'm doing right now. And I'm at peace with that, because I know it's going to make a difference somehow. It can change that next person's life who will actually take it to the next level. And anything I can do to tie Phoenix, to making a difference, to me, that's just as important as that bottom line. I mean, the bottom line's great, you got to run a business, but there's a lot more to running a business than you're reading numbers off a spreadsheet.
I got to think that the day your wife told you that meant more than seeing any one of your clients hit a home run with one of your bats. Oh my,
I know, I'm sure I'll get grief for this later. Hands down, not even a competition. I've had bats in the World Series. I've actually had bats in the Super Bowl. When the Saints, I think it was when they were playing I don't know if it was the Colts. Reggie Bush was running out with, I can't remember what they said, but the Saints Sean Payton ended up ordering bats for every playoff game.
Is that right?
And you had to crank them out within 2 days.
Oh my goodness.
80 to 100 bats. So when they played the Vikings, the bats were purple. When they played, I can't even remember the teams and everything. If it was the Giants, they were blue. But I think it was called Bring the Wood at the time, something like that. That was his saying. So I was joking. I'm like, that's my bat on the in the Super Bowl. I'm like, would have never thought I'd said that, but it was kind of, it's much more rewarding than seeing my bat. I don't care where it's at. I know we have a couple bats in the Hall of Fame as well. Knowing that, the name Phoenix Bats helped make a difference in somebody's life is what truly mattered to me.
Well, and you've been very alive in each segment of this discussion, but the most alive you were is when you were talking about that. And so that, I know some people may watch this, some people may listen to it, but if you don't watch it and you do listen to it, I think they'll even hear it in your voice. So, and let me say too, I'm sorry about the passing of your dad. That I've lost a parent. It's very difficult, but I think it drives you. And especially if it's driving you towards something that's as meaningful as what you're doing. I know I'm sure he's proud of you. I know he's probably proud of you before, but I'm sure he's proud of you. And I hope that one day you get to make that embrace, and he's probably going to tell you again how proud he is, how you've carried that legacy on now with what you're doing. So you guys are just, you got a lot going on. We could probably do a 2-hour segment. I don't want to rush through anything. But you don't just have wood, you also have softball bats, right? Are we doing softball bats now?
Metal baseball bats.
There you go. Metal baseball bats. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm not.
That's been a wild ride. So if anybody is watching, I do carry it around with me. I have bats laying all around the house, and not for security purposes, just because I'm a bat geek. I mean, they're literally just everywhere. So which is not good when you have a 7-year-old, especially. He likes to go around and break things. But I've always wanted to get into the metal bat market. It was just one of those things where there was a lot of competition, and I thought, can we supplement some of our income through the metal to help build other stuff, with the wood or different types of offerings. And it was many years in the making, and it was on the verge of launching, I want to say February, March of last year. And we all know what happened then. It got majorly delayed, and, but it's out now, and it's been a slow roll because of, how the world is, worked, and, how sports have taken a big back seat due to COVID and everything. But, we now offer at least metal baseball bats for 13 and on up.
Okay.
And we're working on the younger youth metal bats right now. And we could talk for 3 hours, if I had to tell you about the metal bat market. That's an insane thing. I learned a lot.
Have you gotten into it and said, oh man, we should have never even gone into this? Or are you really glad you got into it?
Oh no, I'm really glad we got into it. Again, it was one of those things, kind of like throughout our history, very meticulous and thought out how we're going to get into it, because I could have dove right into it and done everything, slow pitch softball, the youth metal bats, everything like that. Mm-hmm. I really took a back seat, and I picked how we were going to start. Mm-hmm. And I, deliberately picked different test markets as well, different people that I'm like, hey, let's talk to you about this. And, some of our first buyers, we've been in constant contact, and they're giving us great feedback. No regrets at all, because of how we roll it out. Because again, I could have dove right in, but that's not just who we are. I dive into a lot of stuff, like head first, especially with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. I just dove right into things like that. But for the metal bat, no regrets. And in fact, I'm really looking forward to what the future holds with it. It's never going to be our mainstay. Mm-hmm. Because wood bats is the heart of Phoenix Bats, but it's still baseball, and we still have an opportunity to get out there and make a difference. And I almost hate to say this, but we've actually had talks about a beet cancer metal bat as well, and including possibly different colors, or at least different color ribbons to represent the different cancers.
That's awesome.
We've had lots of conversations. So a lot of stuff we do, no matter what it is, hey, we want to go sell metal bats to make money, but how can we twist it and do something else with it? That's
awesome. All right. So I usually do rapid fire, but let's rapid fire a different way. Rapid fire, if somebody wants to, if I've listened to this and I want to buy a bat for my son, or not just a bat, like I want to get one for his birthday, or I got somebody that's retiring at my office. I mean, I assume you guys do all kinds of different things. Probably the best way is probably the website. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, I mean, website's 100%, because you get to see the bat made in real time. You get to customize it. It's really cool how it works out.
Very cool. Okay. And you guys are the best. I mean, that's that, to your point. And I appreciate that about your business. You don't just run into anything. I as you said that, I was thinking there are things in our life where we do need to go head first and go as fast and as quick as we can, because it's, but what I appreciate about what you've said is, at least that I've heard, is that when it comes to the business, to the product, you're not doing that. You're going to take every step to make sure this is the highest quality product. And my experience has been that it is, that you guys really, really have been meticulous about that. And therefore it's been successful for you. Is that fair?
100. I mean, that's 100% correct. I mean, there could be things that we'll dive headfirst into in the business, but it's not going to be anything that would ever sacrifice the integrity and quality of what you would end up with. Because at the end of the day, I tell anybody I work with, put yourself in their shoes. Mm-hmm. You get somebody who calls you that's angry, and I'm like, have you ever had a bad day? You don't know what's going on in their life. And at the end of the day, if you make them the best bat, silly as it sounds, possible. I mean, even if it doesn't have that difference, behind it, like a beet cancer or something, you just, make their kid the best bat possible. That might bring the joy in their life that's going to make a difference, that they'll pay it forward, tomorrow to the next person. And that's something we'll never sacrifice as long as I'm ever around, and been around for 20 years now. I'm not sure I'm going to go anywhere anytime soon. So
yeah. Well, you've seen it this far. So I have an idea that I'll text you with afterwards. Maybe it's tomorrow, because it's probably getting late. I'll text you an idea tomorrow about something that's just come to my mind while we're in this conversation. So
I might have an idea of what it is, and I was actually going to talk to you about it.
Awesome.
Off the air as well, because I mean, we'll talk later.
We'll do it.
I think it'd be great that we're synced in, man. I think we might do this.
100%. That's really, really cool. And I got chills, because you all would both be part of the Unscripted family, because you've been on tonight, they've been on before, and I would love it. I'm getting choked up. All right, let's move on before I get real emotional. All right, so website's the best way. Any other links? I know you guys are on social media and things like that. How can I find Phoenix Bats? What's the web address, and then your socials?
Absolutely. It's phoenixbats.com, PhoenixBats.com, plural, in bats. Facebook page, literally, if you type in the word wood bats, that's us.
Okay.
I don't know how we scored that years ago, kind of got lucky. You can type in Phoenix Bats on Facebook. You'll find us there. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I know we only have 2 videos on TikTok because I got bored one day and said, let's do TikTok.
Why not?
And yeah, and I'm just like, I'm going to, make TikTok videos, and we'll keep updating stuff as we go. But Instagram, Twitter, TikTok is at Phoenix Bats. LinkedIn, I mean, for the older crowd, professional crowd,
Right.
you can always follow us on LinkedIn and stuff. So
Awesome.
and then
All right.
obviously we, our showroom's open. People can call. They're more than
Yep.
welcome to come in. We love doing bat fittings, and something we've been really toying with is virtual bat fittings. And
Oh, wow.
I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we even talked about it today. And I think we have a really good concept going. Whether we can pull it off or not might be another thing, but anything we can do to just kind of, get the name Phoenix out there even more, because, I know we're going to make a difference is what it comes down to. Yeah, we're going to be a business. We're going to try to make money. But how we can get our name out there to be different. I mean, I love it. So
I love it. Well, I love what you guys do. Quality product, local company, great leadership, great vision, meticulous. And I think I might have a way that we can help you hopefully make some money. Do you want to make the announcement for the audience?
You know what? Just kind of random. I'm thinking we might just offer, a discount for all the unscripted listeners out there,
That's right.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, I guess I am the CEO and I can go in and make whatever code I want to make, but let's do this. How about unscripted 20?
Unscripted
20, unscripted 20.
Okay.
We'll give 20% off your custom bat orders. That'll include the metal bat, the Pro XR, your youth bats, any of that stuff. It won't include like the clearance and sale items because we already make that, marked down big time enough, but you need a bat with your kid's name on it or one on your wall with your name on it. Unscripted 20 for 20% off today.
That's awesome. Now, would that apply? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, not just today. I'm just going to leave it open that way. Cause podcasts, you don't know when they're going to download it and listen. So
that's right. I love it. I'm honored. I'm so honored that you first of all came on, that you would do this and that you would offer my audience an opportunity to get a great bat. And so let me ask you that. We talked about the ones that are for a purpose. Would that apply to the ones for a purpose or not? And I think if it wouldn't, that's okay because people understand.
No, we actually never discount those because
there you go. Okay.
It goes to charity. So,
right.
And anybody we've ever had asked like, hey, I have 15% off today. Can I use it for a beet cancer bat? And we're like, it doesn't apply to that. And let me explain why.
Yeah.
And when you explain why, a lot of times they'll be like, what we do offer on our site, like if you buy the bat, the beet cancer bat, I don't even remember the price. I'm so bad about this, but say for $50, a lot of people will make an extra $50 donation.
Yes.
And
it's awesome.
We actually have that on our site. It's all tracked. We send a check to Pelotonia monthly.
Mm-hmm.
We're never going to be the biggest Pelotonia donor out there by any means. But it's just knowing that it makes a difference. But when you explain it like that to people, they're like, oh, let me throw another $20 at you. And you're like, wow, okay. I mean, it makes a difference. It's really cool. But no, it does not apply to the purpose-driven bats, we'll call it.
Okay. And that's fine. I'm 100% behind you on that because I almost wouldn't want that because I wouldn't want to take away from giving to those causes. So I'm completely behind you on that, man. This has been awesome. Really, honestly, life-giving. That's what I love about doing this crazy little podcast is it's life-giving to me. Tonight, you've given me leadership lessons. You've given me purpose lessons. I've learned a lot about bats, which is very, very cool. And then, a bow at the end is a gift to our audience. So I'm honored, man. I'm honored to call you friend and that you came on tonight. I really am.
Oh, Aaron, the honor's mine. I appreciate it, man. I mean, this is, you hear the passion, what I love talking about. I obviously love talking about Phoenix, but you hit it on the head when you really got me going. And you gave me goosebumps when I was able to talk about it. But I'll tell you what, the next time we can talk for another hour, I know, there's going to be a bat in that background with that unscripted logo on there. Okay.
That sounds good. We may have to plug in the new studio. plug at the Junction down in Old Hilliard. I might have to hang one up there, but if not, I'll have it in my basement studios, man. I'd be honored to have a bat on my wall from Phoenix, no doubt.
There'll be one coming your way sometime very soon.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's connect offline, whether even if it's over text, because I think we got that idea that is pressing that we both have. And man, I appreciate you. I really do. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. And I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for giving me the time. Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Talk soon.